In the best of the rest of the news, the Bill O'Reilly reporting scandal is growing. O'Reilly has come under fire for his 1982 reporting on the Falklands War while he was a correspondent for CBS, or actually for his characterization of it. Despite being over 1,000 miles away from the fighting, O'Reilly has repeatedly claimed that he was in a war zone, in a combat situation. He's made a lot of claims like these.
The Argentine troops shoot the people down in the street. They shoot them down. It's not like rubber bullets or gas. It's people are dying. Soldier runs down the street. I'm there. Photographer gets trampled. All right, so he's on the ground. I grab him and the camera and drag him into a doorway. The soldier comes up and he's standing maybe 10 feet away. He's got the M16 pointed at my head. I thought it was over. And I said, periodista no dispare. That means journalists don't shoot. Por favor.
CNN is now reporting that 7 other journalists who worked with O'Reilly at CBS all challenged his description of the events. Specifically claims he made that a CBS cameraman was injured in a war zone. So how much worse is it going to get for O'Reilly given these new reports? Joining me now for more on all this is Jeremy Holden, Research Director at Media Matters. All the great websites out there, MediaMatters.org. You guys are doing such a great job of keeping the news honest. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Can you summarize what this is all about? I mean, you know, there have been a few scandals in O'Reilly's career. The biggest one, I think, is when he was accused of sexually assaulting is the wrong word, something, harassing his producer, the Loofah-gate. But now we've got this, so is this...
Yeah, well, look, Bill O'Reilly's always had an honesty problem. I don't think that's news to a lot of people. But I think what he's running into now is a potential branding problem, right? I mean, this is the no-spin zone, right? This is the guy who every night closes his telecast saying the spin stops here. But now he wants his audience to believe that when he was running around saying, I was in a war zone in Argentina, in the Falklands, that he didn't mean to imply that he was actually on Falkland Islands. Right? Like, give me a break, right? So Bill O'Reilly is now facing the issue where all he has is spin. And I think that's where you're starting to see him react. I mean, Bill O'Reilly's been called out for dishonesty many, many times in the past, but usually it's just pinheads and idiots and he moves on. But I think what we're starting to see now is his branding is being under attack.
Well, and there's the issue of the branding of the network that he's on, too. When Brian Williams was accused of exaggerating parts of his personal past that had to do with his on-air work, NBC put him on 6 months, no pay, you're out of here, and best guess is he is out of there forever. NBC, though, at least still pretends is too pejorative a word, still asserts that what they're doing is just hard news in their newscast. You know, even though there's a fair amount of, oh, we got a new Universal movie, so let's bring that actor in or whatever. But Fox News, you know, they assert that they're news, but I always insert so-called, you know, Fox. Do you think that their brand will be able to withstand this?
Well, I think that's the important question, is the extent to which we can continue treating Fox as a news organization. These are serious questions. You talked about the 7 experts, the 7 witnesses who have stepped forward challenging Bill O'Reilly's claims about what happened during these protests in Buenos Aires. No one has stepped forward to corroborate what Bill O'Reilly said.
Those 7 people were the 7 people who were there with him. I mean, there was only 8 of them, right?
So you think that a news organization would want to say, like, has one of our premier talents been lying to his audience for the past 20 years? That's something that a news organization would want to know. And so I think the question of should Fox News do anything is almost more important than will Fox News do anything. Because if they just stand by and wait for this to pass, I think it says a lot about your question, which is the extent to which we should treat them as a news organization.
Well, isn't that already established? I mean, this is what I don't think anybody in this country could read Media. I read Media Matters every day, and I don't think anybody could regularly check out the reporting at Fox News and think that that is actually a credible news organization. I mean, you know, Roger Ailes pitched this to Richard Nixon back in the 70s as GOP TV. Nixon couldn't afford it. Ailes found a billionaire, its DNA is political, is it not?
Yeah, and you can remember 5 or 6 years ago, that was a controversial thing to say that Fox isn't a legitimate news organization. Other journalists would bristle a little bit and say, whoa, you can't say that. But it has become the conventional wisdom now that this isn't a news organization the way we conceptualize the news in the United States.
It's an advocacy organization.
Very much so, yeah.
Advocacy for the right-wing worldview and all that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on Bill O'Reilly coming out and personally attacking Mother Jones? Well, Mother Jones can be personally attacked, but David Corn, and saying that he should be in the kill zone? Is this an O'Reillyism that doesn't mean what it sounds like?
Well, and again, and that's another thing, right? This is the no-spin zone, but when he said that David Corn should be in the no-kill zone, he didn't really mean a kill zone, right? I mean, it's spin, spin, spin. And I think, look, personal attacks, these type of ad hominem lashing out is what we're used to from Bill O'Reilly when he's being challenged on his facts, when he's being exposed for the dissembler that he is. But the reality is that Bill O'Reilly has spent several decades conjuring up this image of the brave war correspondent reporting from an active combat zone, bullets whizzing overhead. And that is completely falling apart around him, and now all he has is spin, and I think that's why you see him lashing out.
Was his, in any way, was his, now he was only with CBS for a relatively short period of time before they bounced him out of there. In fact, from some of the accounts I'm reading, his behavior in Buenos Aires was one of the things that led to his exiting CBS. Was that, do you think that he has the job he has at Fox in part because he was asserting that he had been a war correspondent?
Well, it's impossible to prove the negative, but I think that, you know, he certainly felt like he had something to gain by puffing up his resume. And look, I mean, bravado is something that we all can all fall victim to, but this is a pattern over 30 years of repeat. This is one time. This isn't that one CNN interview. This is a dozen or more examples of him going out there, telling this story, creating this image that turns out not to be true. Short of Bill O'Reilly finding someone to corroborate his version of events, I think we have to go with the 7 who say not so fast.
Right. So, you know, tonight he's going to go on the air, and he's going to, in fact, he's right now or the hour after us, whatever, and he's going to be saying, but, you know, I'm right, and here's the details, and it'll be, this is my prediction, but your thoughts, that he's going to try to basically lawyer it or something. You think? Will he get away with it?
I'm sure he'll lawyer it. I'd be shocked if Fox News holds him accountable. It's an accountability-free zone. I just go back again to the potential damage to his brand, to the extent that it can be damaged, to the extent that we're supposed to take this no-spin zone thing seriously, that all he's doing is spinning. Kill zone doesn't mean kill zone. In the Falklands doesn't mean actually in the Falkland Islands. Like, we're parsing words to the point where it doesn't even make sense anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's nuts. Jeremy, great having you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for showing up. Jeremy Holt.